You know what's on my mind? Friends that do drugs. Here on my daily thought bubble. Now, before I start, I just want to make some disclaimers that number one, I'm going to be dropping a lot of F bombs. So if you're not used to it, turn off this podcast right now. Number two, I don't have a better term for people that I know that are more than acquaintances but less than friends. So I use friends in a very loose sense. Unless you can tell me a term to describe the people that I know that are beyond acquaintances, but not close friends. Anyway, so I want to talk about drugs and people that do drugs. I have friends, for lack of a better word, that do drugs. These are people I know that I've known for a while, and I've seen them in bars and parties, and I've seen them doing drugs. And I'm not close friends with them. I'm not going to hang around with them, and I'm not going to judge them. I want to be clear that I don't judge people that do drugs. I will never impose my opinion or my thoughts and beliefs on people that do drugs. It is not my business to do so, nor do I care enough to tell them what to do with their lives. They're adults, they know what they're doing, and it's not my business. In the same breath, I'm sure they don't give a shit what I think, or they don't even care to want to hear what I have to say about them doing drugs. So, to each his own. Here is where the problem begins. When I have friends that offer their friends drugs, that's a problem. If you do drugs and you're offering your other friends to do drugs, you're not a real friend. Because why the hell would you offer somebody drugs when you know how fucked up you can get with that? You're trying to convince someone to do drugs, peer pressuring them into doing drugs. What? So they can feel good at that moment and you think you're helping them? You're not helping them. You're making things worse for them. You're not a real friend. You don't give a shit, even if you think you do. Now, I know people that, they have the best intentions. Oh, but I want my friend who's going through a breakup to feel better, so I offer them drugs. You're not helping them. You're not being a fucking friend by doing that. You're being an idiot. Sorry. And if you're somebody who has a friend that's offering you to do drugs, they're not a friend. You need a new set of friends. Get out of that situation. People like that are not good for your mental health. People like that are not good for you, period. If I have friends that are in my inner circle, that I care for, I care about, that I love, and I found out they were doing drugs, I will tell them to their face, stop doing drugs. Because I care deeply for these people. But if you're not in my inner circle, I don't give a fuck if you do drugs. You can do whatever you want with your life. I won't judge you. But I won't care for you as well. Because you don't care enough about yourself, why should I care? If you don't love yourself enough that you're doing drugs, why should I care and love you enough to even try to stop you? You do you, I do me. That's it. We have each other's lives. We're not each other's keepers. But for friends of mine that are dear to me, I will tell you, if you know people that do drugs, you stay the fuck away from them. You keep as far away from them as possible. Yeah, you can see them in a bar, chit-chat, that's fine. But try not to stay too long in that situation. Otherwise, you're going to get caught up in it. But if they're doing drugs or they're never offering it to you and you never see them do it, no problem. Because those ones are cool. We're cool. They do their own business. I do my business. Right? Because I have friends like that. I know they're doing it, but they never tell me they do it. They're pretty discreet about it. That's their business. Do their own thing. I don't really care. Right? But once they start offering it to me, that's when the problem lies. And they'll hear a piece of it from me. I don't think people have offered me drugs often because they know I'm fairly strong-willed, hard-headed. That, they'd be smart enough not to offer me any drugs. But I think they do offer it to people that they think are weak. People that they think need it or want it. And I know, maybe you're going through a breakup, or you're going through a trauma, or you're going through anxiety or stress, and you're looking for relief. Now, listen to the word I use. I said relief. And that's exactly what it is. Just a relief. Drugs will relieve you of that stress, that anxiety. But relief is temporary. Then when the drugs wear off, then you're back to the same problem, only worse this time. Because you're going to start needing more and more of that same drug just to keep you going to the next day and the next day and the next day. And that's when it becomes problematic because you start looking for it. It becomes your crutch. And it doesn't cure you. Honestly, I don't do drugs, and I've been offered before, and I stayed away from those people. And I don't do drugs because I love myself too much. I love my life too much. And when I say I love my life, I mean I love everything about my life, not just the good shit. I love everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I love all the happy times as much as I love all the hardships. All the sad moments, the angry moments, the toxic moments. I love everything about it. I love every moment where I've cried my eyes out because I was so depressed and upset that I freaked out, maybe got into a fight because I was being stupid. I've made a lot of mistakes. I love every minute of my life. I do not judge anything that happened in my life, anything, whether it's good or bad. I look at everything as neutral. And that's why I love everything about it. And that's why I never want to change my perception of life or the way I feel about it by chemically inducing a happy emotion, by chemically inducing a good time, because I love every emotion I have. And I'm telling you this because if you're going through a hard time right now, trust me on this one. If you start learning to not judge and forgive yourself and allow yourself to feel these emotions and not feel bad that you feel these emotions, that you feel sad or you feel depressed and not judge it, you won't have a need to try to always be happy. Being always happy is unsustainable anyway, whether it's natural or chemically induced. Stop trying and just be. Just allow yourself to be a human being that has all these emotions. And the sooner you can get to that point where you allow yourself to just be human and feel these emotions, you won't need drugs anymore. The sooner you can stop judging yourself for feeling bad, you won't need drugs anymore. The sooner you can start loving yourself and forgiving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are, you won't do drugs. And if you're one of these people that are doing drugs right now, do not influence others to do drugs just because you're looking for somebody else to do drugs with, to experience what you're experiencing. Because what you're experiencing, that chemically induced feeling, is going to fuck you up. And don't fuck other people up with your habits. And if you have friends that offer you drugs, stay away from that situation. Get away from that situation. And they're not your friends. That's the bottom line. And that's what's on my mind today. This is Chris Tan. And that's my daily thought bubble.